Hi everybody. Well, today is my Tuesday tip. I've been meaning to do this for so very long, but God really placed it on my heart. Plus, it's a very rainy day, and so I'm at home studying, preparing for classes. And the one thing that I find myself going back to constantly is reminding um, various students and things like that about classroom etiquette. Now, this is from teacher to teacher and teacher to student. So this, I will talk about a little bit about classroom etiquette and why it's important. So just to define the word etiquette, it's defined as the customary code of polite behavior in society among members of a particular profession or group. So similar words to the word etiquette or synonyms is protocol, manners, accepted behavior, rules of conduct. So first let me just speak to students. So as you walk into or you're preparing to go to a dance class, you want to make sure to number one, be punctual, be prepared. And what I mean by, well, everyone knows if you're punctual, you're on time for class. You don't want to run in and run into the class late and disrupt the class by walking in extra late. Um, be in attendance. Don't miss class. There are important things that will be learned and discussed within class that you certainly don't want to miss. And then when you're in the next class, you're lost and you're asking questions, which also, kind of creates a disruption in class. And, you have to catch up and it feels uncomfortable to you. And it's also a hindrance to the teacher. The teacher has to go back, has to instruct you. You don't want to miss class, basically. Um, be prepared. Make sure that you have the proper attire that's asked for in class. Make sure that if you're given a homework assignment to bring in, you are prepared with that assignment on time, not late, not a week late, not, I did part of it, the complete assignment, and it's on time. That's very important. And it's not for the teacher's sake, it's really for you, to be able to have your assignment on time, to be punctual in class, to be prepared in class. It sets you up for success. So you want to make sure that you are setting yourself up for success. When you walk into a class and you're dressed and you greet your instructor, say, hey, hello, how are you? It creates a great relationship between you and your instructor. Get dressed quickly. Don't take forever talking and carrying on with friends. You get dressed quickly, get into class quickly, begin to stretch. If the class hasn't started yet, you're a little bit early, or the instructor is doing something and they haven't yet begun the class, start to stretch. Get yourself mentally prepared, physically prepared for class. When class begins, follow direction. Whether it's prayer first or you begin a series of stretches, make sure you are following direction. Pay attention, listen carefully, watch, mirror the instructor. If there's something you don't quite understand, you really need to be focused on the instructor so that you can get the complete instructions and direction on what you should do and do it properly so that you don't harm yourself. You don't want to be distracted or swayed or you're looking at someone else, another student. Make sure you focus on the instructor. If you have questions, make sure that you ask them at the proper time. It's not always a good time to ask a question. Sometimes if you wait just a little bit, your question will be answered by the instructor that's still instructing. So you don't want to interrupt the instructor as they're speaking to ask a question Wait until they're finished, and then if your question is still not answered, certainly answer a question. Don't feel jilted or rejected if the instructor says, I'll answer your question a little bit later. Just understand that there is a plan that has been put into place for the class so that the class can learn effectively and with good time management, things like that. The instructor is really trying to make sure that everyone gets the most out of class. So don't have feelings of feeling jilted or rejected if your question is not answered immediately, or wait until the end of class to come back to the instructor and say, I really didn't understand this particular, and I wanted to ask this question and you didn't quite get to my question. The instructor may forget. Be forgiving. Suggestions in class. This is huge. If a choreographer or an instructor is conducting class and you have a suggestion, suggestions are not always helpful. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. And it's probably better if you wait until the end of class to make a suggestion. And again, don't feel jilted or rejected if your suggestion is not taken to heart. It's not that what you have to say is not valuable. It's just that there's a plan that has been put into place for the growth of the class, and that's just not part of the plan. And so you should never ever take those things to heart. Take notes immediately after class. If there's something that you learned and you don't want to forget it, it is crucial that you grab a notebook and you write it down so that you don't forget, and that you take it with you and you independently practice and study. Google it. Do whatever you can. But don't allow that knowledge to seep out of your brain and out of your spirit because you didn't take notes right away. I guarantee you, short-term memory will always fail you. So write it down, study it, allow it to become part of you, and trust me, you are going to be successful if you do this. As you're leaving, thank your instructor. It means a lot to us. As instructors, it means so much to us if you've learned something, if you appreciate something, if you felt good about the class. It means a lot to us to hear that from you. So thank your instructor, and allow bless them with your words. Okay. Now the second portion is for teachers. You are responsible for creating and maintaining class etiquette. You need to supply your students with the code of conduct for class. You may feel like you're beating a dead horse by repeating yourself over and over and over again. But at the end of 10 months or a year, you will see your class transform, and it will run a lot more smooth than it did on day one. Trust me. And it is crucial as a teacher that you follow your code of conduct. When your students come in, you should be prepared. You should not be frazzled. You should not be unprepared without a lesson plan. Don't try to wing it. Prepare yourself for class. Pray. Write down what you're going to do in class. When your students come in, greet them. Direct them if you see that they are doing something other than the code of conduct. So make sure you know the proper time to redirect so that you can maintain your class etiquette. Make sure that each and every person understands that the code of conduct is going to be enforced. So as they come in, if they're unprepared with attire, if they don't have the proper attire on, however you handle that, you need to stick to it. For me personally, with my young students, And I'm talking about children if they are not prepared for class, proper attire, and I don't care if they come in with polka dot green leggings and the code is black leggings, they are not allowed to participate. And it teaches them to follow direction and to be prepared. I know it breaks our hearts to see them cry and sit on the side and look sad, but you know what? Eventually, you'll have an entire class dressed in code and it's beautiful. And they feel good about themselves. It goes for adults too. Adults, don't come in and say, oh, my leggings were dirty, my t-shirt was dirty, whatever, and this is all I had. You're out of code. Simple. So if we enforce that with our children, we have to enforce it with you as well. So make sure that you're enforcing it with adults and with children. Don't just, zero in on the children and then you back off from the adults. They have to be in code. Attendance, punctuality, any assignments that you have assigned to them, they have to be on time. They have to be on time. They have to be in attendance. They have to be punctual. And if they're not following code, they need you to talk to them, and not in public. You pull them to the side and you have a little chat with them and let them know, listen, you need to be on time. You need to be here in class. You're really missing out on a lot. You need to do your assignments because it contributes to your growth. Help them to understand that what you've placed, the code of conduct is in place for their success, not for your success. Give clear direction, hence being prepared for class. When you come to class, if you have your notes typed or handwritten, a little book, that's what I like to do. I like to have a little book to help me to follow what I'm going to do and stick to what I'm going to do in class. You may not do everything on your list, but at least you have a list. Make sure you give clear direction. If they are to go to the right, tell them right. If they're going to go to the left, tell them left. If a plie is 2 counts, make sure they understand that it's 2 counts and not 1. You must be clear as a teacher. If you see, make sure that you're observing your students constantly and don't allow them to move on without getting it. If they don't get it right away, tell them we're going to work on this again next time so we can really, really get it. For me, I gave my students an exercise yesterday and they just were not getting it. So I had to kind of pull back and say, okay, we're going to redirect right now. We're going to do something else so they can get one concept before the other. And eventually they got it. They got it. It was something as simple as développé. They did not understand développé. So we had to go through passés first. Then we had to go through what it feels like to tendu to the front, tendu to the side, tendu to the back, and so on. And so eventually they were able to go through the process of développé. And so it made them feel very happy that at the start of our class they couldn't get it, and at the end of it they did get it. And I didn't go through my entire list because I needed to spend time on that particular exercise. But the next time, I told them what to practice when they go home, and the next time that we come in, we're going to go over it again, and then we're going to move on to other exercises that just happen to be on my list. Redirect students that have begun to sway. So this happens with children. It happens with adults. Children love to start little giggly conversations, or they start doing handstands and running around the room, and you have to know how to redirect. Screaming doesn't always work. Sometimes what I do is I have some type of code that I say and they understand it right away. 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me. Something like that. And so they'll turn around and they'll, all of a sudden they're focused on the teacher. And that's part of creating that classroom etiquette or that classroom culture. Um, for adults, it's a little bit different. Sometimes we start, asking our partner, like, what did she say? What did she do? Da 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 da. And a little conversation happens, and the instructor's talking, and there's two people talking in the back, and they're not paying attention. And so we have to stop class, we have to redirect them, and start again. And so those little side conversations are not helpful, but we as teachers need to know how to redirect. If a whole conversation starts to happen amongst adults and the instructor is there and they're waiting for these adults to finish their conversation and they're joking around, you have to know how to redirect so that you can start class and say, okay, everyone, we need to start class now. So all of that stuff, maybe you can discuss it a little bit later. Let's get to work. Because you really want to get them in the practice of, we're here for class, we're not here for socialization and things like that, and this is what we paid for, and let's get the most out of it. Okay, because otherwise you're unhappy with the teacher if you walk out and you haven't learned anything. And so teachers, we have to make sure that they understand that we're redirecting you so that we can get the most of our class. Give handouts if possible. My instruction earlier in this video to students was to write things down, but what a wonderful tool for us to be able to give them handouts and say, go practice this at home. Or here's an assignment, go define these words. Or go watch this video, here's the link, on a piece of paper. I know paper is expensive, but hey, listen, even if it's an email, electronically, you say, I'm going to send everybody reminders, I'm going to send everybody videos and a list of things to practice, so on and so forth. It is so helpful to the students to have something tangible to hold on to and to say, okay, this is a reminder to me to go and do something about this, right? To go practice. So give handouts if possible. Verbal instructions are also good, and make sure that your students walk away with something to do independently on their own. I mentioned sending reminders if necessary. And at the end of class, try to leave a few minutes to address any questions that you may have. Kind of said, I'll answer that later. Leave time for that. And I always forget this, to ask, does anyone have any questions? At the end of class, I'm ready to go. It's like, okay, I've taught my class, you guys did great, go ahead, get dressed, see you next week, or see you tomorrow, or whatever. It's so important for you to ask everyone if they have any questions that you can address. So make sure you don't forget that. And thank your students. Thank you all. Great job. Give them a little praise. Give them praise throughout the class so that they feel like they've accomplished something. Even if it's the smallest thing. Great pointed foot, so-and-so. Wow, your arms look great. You're improving. It really means a lot to them. And so we as teachers have to make sure that we remember to give that praise. And even on the side, when they come and they greet or they're saying goodbye to you and you having a little conversation with them, ask them about themselves. They love that. And I don't know about you, but I love it when students come and they talk to me and it's just about nothing. Like, hey, how are you? It's raining really hard today. How have you been doing? How's your father? Little things like that make them feel so special. And you feel special too when they return that to you and they're asking about you and they say, I'm praying for you. I know you went through a hard time. It creates a wonderful relationship between teacher and student, or teacher to teacher if you are teaching other teachers and things like that. So make sure you keep that line of communication open to your students at the end of class. So that pretty much concludes my little speech on classroom etiquette. But if you enjoyed what you've heard, please subscribe to soeai.com. Go on there, subscribe to us, take a look at our school. These are some of the lessons that we go through with our students. The school is a hybrid school, so that means that it's partially online. Most of it is online. And then we have live workshops for our students to attend. And so you will be getting that personal touch from myself and my partner, Shakara Beckham. There is no question that we will not answer for you. There is nothing that we will not encourage you to do in our school, and we want to maintain a relationship with our students afterwards, so you'll always have our support. And so if you think that you may be interested in our hybrid school, please take a look at our website, www.soeai.com, and subscribe to us. Take a look at all of our pages. If you're interested, you can always email us with any questions, right? We want to say thank you to all of you who subscribe to us, to all of you who watch our videos, who've liked our page, and we would love to serve you. We are waiting to serve others. We're waiting to pour out to others. You know, scripture says iron sharpens iron, and that's what we're here to do. And so God bless you all. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for watching, and hope to hear from you soon. Again, www.soeai.com. Bye.